Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Hsieh, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. I'm your host, Hsieh. Today, I'm thrilled to have Zvee, a seasoned expert in brand strategy and licensing, and currently is a driving force behind Liithos, an innovative IP company focusing on gaming world. And today we'll have very interesting discussion. This is going to be unlike any other podcast we have done in the past. This is actually our first interview with actually someone that only a license. So I think also Zvee have an impressive track record from doubling the licensing revenue from for Major League Baseball to leading top product launches for brands, many different brands in his career. And in today's episode, we'll like to talk about the idea behind his IP and his license, and how he was able to build equities through like very interesting partnership with other companies, and how like also Collectibles play a key role in establishing a lasting audience. So this will be a very interesting episode, and thank you for joining us on today's podcast with me today.
Happy to, Jason. Good to see you.
Yeah, so first of all, can we first explain what does your company do exactly? Because it's kind of vague, it's kind of virtual. And of course, I can share some of the screen of, if you have any product that you want to show off in the screen, we can do that. If not, I have your website pulled up ready to explain, because it's kind of hard. It's a very abstract, almost like an idea, so.
It is. I think at its core, Liithos is introducing some new intellectual property, a couple of new characters, one of which is RantCPU to the market. And RantCPU, he's our satirical take on artificial intelligence. You know, artificial intelligence is a topic that's dominating headlines these days. You know, it's all over the place in current events. And so we wanted to have a character, RantCPU, as you can see on screen, who is a bit more lighthearted and parodied and satirical. And our angle with RantCPU is that Rant gets a lot wrong. So although he is an artificial intelligence character, many times we refer to him as artificial incompetence, because he misinterprets humanity.
I love that.
And with that comes many of Rant's personalities, comes many of Rant's products that we're trying to launch into market, and come many storylines that I think we can introduce to consumers in effective ways. And RantCPU is the brainchild of Michael Mumbauer. Michael is the founder of Liithos. Michael's background, he was a PlayStation executive for well over a decade. He actually co-developed The Last of Us for Sony PlayStation. So this massive hit in the video game space that spawned the critically acclaimed television series. But Michael saw problems on the video game landscape. Notably that it costs so much money and takes so much time to launch successful video game titles now. For a AAA game, you could have a team of dozens of people working on video game development for years, well over a six-figure investment, often 7 to 9 figures to launch these video games. So if they come out and they're not successful right out of the gate, the companies face a lot of headwinds and financial difficulties. So what we're trying to do at Liithos with RantCPU is we're trying to introduce this character through consumer product collaborations and product launches in advance of our video game hitting market next year. So it's not the easiest story to tell, but when you have a minute or two to lay it all on the line, I think people are understanding what we're trying to do and the inroads that we're trying to make from a product and licensing perspective.
And from a product perspective, it can go beyond just a video game. Like we talk about pre-interview, like there could be trading card, there could be toys, there could be other like items using, you know, the license itself as well. So what is your vision, or what's your company's vision in the future? Like what are all the different products you guys want to invest into?
So I've been trying to launch RantCPU through trading cards and collectibles. And I actually have a few that I can demo here. We've had collaborations with Leaf trading cards to put RantCPU on a trading card with Lionel Messi, for example.
Nice.
RantCPU on a trading card with Conor McGregor.
Okay.
This is my favorite one because it takes me back to the Mike Tyson's Punch Out, but RantCPU on a trading card with Mike Tyson getting knocked out. I know it's
really clever design as well. For those of you that's listening, please also like watch on YouTube if you want to see the actual design of the product we're discussing in today's episode. So.
And thanks, Jason. And I'm happy to send you images as well that you could post online. But the reason that I wanted to introduce Rant through collectibles is because my background, prior to joining Liithos, I oversaw the licensing department at Major League Baseball Players Association. I was with the PA for 6 years. One of its primary business verticals is trading cards. It's a very lucrative business for baseball players and a booming business. And then prior to the PA, I was at Topps for 6 years as a brand manager and developing baseball and soccer products. I have work experiences prior to that, but the reason I'm giving you that background is because I've developed a really unique and a deep understanding of the trading card industry, how it works, what people are looking for in products, value that they're looking for when they're opening products, and some of the demographic that we're trying to target with Rant certainly would overlap with trading cards.
Okay. Good to know. Interesting. Okay.
So we were able to strike collaborations with Leaf trading cards to feature RantCPU with those with their athletes that I just showed a couple of examples of. We're developing other trading card products right now. We have a digital collectible in the market with Quid Digital Marketplace. That's for a second intellectual property that we possess called No One Is Safe. Without getting on too much of a tangent, because I know we want to stay within toys, and RantCPU certainly is our biggest endeavor within the toy market. But No One Is Safe is a universe. It's a fictional universe that RantCPU creates for his own entertainment. And it's ultimately the path that I think we see for it as a company for video games is this this environment that combines RantCPU and No One Is Safe. It's a bit confusing, but it's a lot of fun, and it's been very rewarding to take part in the launch of these brands.
I also have the visual pulled up. It's a very interesting design as well.
Yes, exactly. And so hopefully this design gives you more of an idea. Again, if you took a brand Venn diagram, RantCPU, we're trying to find a combination of Mad Magazine and The Simpsons and South Park, so to speak. We don't want to be as edgy as South Park. We don't want to take it too far. We love the Mad Magazine realm that, is parodied and satirical, but, targets 13 to 15 without being overly cruel.
This could be a very interesting card game or even a board game as well.
Yes, we have that on the product roadmap, Jason. We're developing a board game as we speak. Nate Murray, who's our VP of world building, has fascinating work experiences in board games prior to joining Liithos, and he and Nathan Wiseman are crafting a board game that we'll be taking to market later this year as well. I think there's a lot of potential for this character. There's a space for it, especially as within the realm of artificial intelligence. Like I was saying right when we joined, there's so much uncertainty and ambiguity and concern about artificial intelligence. But what we really want to do is create something funny around it.
For sure. And on the board game round, if you need any help, I do have some connection in the Kickstarter industry that I can refer you to some people to help with Kickstarter. And after Kickstarter, if you need help with Amazon marketing, you know who to talk to as well.
I know who to turn to. I do. Thank you.
So, but this is a very interesting concept. So who come up with all this crazy idea of the different kind of theme around the licensing? This is hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. So Michael Mumbauer, both intellectual properties are his brainchild. But we have an incredible team at Liithos. We have Adam Clegg, who developed this battle royale style video game with H1Z1. We have Nate Murray, who I spoke about earlier. We have Gary Trock, formerly of TMZ Sports, writing editorial copy and funny quips for our trading cards and our No One Is Safe cards. I can demonstrate a few of the No One Is Safe cards.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah.
Hold on. So we'll take. Here's one that is one of my favorites. So this is
Keanu Reeves.
This is Quinoa Heaves. This is our parody card of Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Yeah. We developed a meter to go on the bottom of our trading cards.
Whoa. Yeah.
His is good guy meter, and as you can tell, it's completely full. But these are funny. These are all from Gary and his team. You have RantCPU on the back. We're trying to tie RantCPU with the No One Is Safe collectibles. Also, this one I think is very funny, but spicy meatball.
Okay.
So when Mario takes his mask off, this is our interpretation of Mario. And there's great stuff on the back. There's the character's strengths and weaknesses. But we're creating these fictional characters around current events or celebrities and just having a lot of fun with them. And I think that sort of dynamic really works within collectibles. And that's why I wanted to leverage my work background and introduce some of these products within those spaces.
Yeah, and I think one of the strategy you guys doing really good is like collaboration. And I think this is something that not just people like you that own a license, but also for other toy business to learn from, because collaboration across different industry, this is how we can really grow our business as a whole, regardless of what type of industry you're in, either toys or video games or just board games. So can you kind of share a little bit about your experience as far as collaboration? First of all, how do you identify who to collaborate with, and how do you start with that negotiation and so on and so forth?
Yeah, well, I think in launching new intellectual property, I think collaborations, from my seat and my vantage point, are critically important because they lend legitimacy and brand equity to intellectual property that might be missing it. So, that's why I thought this collaboration with Leaf was so important, because, not only are we getting incredible athletes on our cards, but we're getting the Leaf brand name. Similar with Quid and the No One Is Safe digital collectibles that are in market now. We're getting a market leader in digital collectibles. We're generating brand awareness and market penetration with their audiences. And so I think those types of collaborations are really important to try to build trust in your brand and certainly awareness for intellectual property. So we have another trading card product that I'm building and soliciting right now. It should be in stores on December 12th, 2024, but it's a No One Is Safe branded card product. And one of the collaborations that we'll unveil as part of that product are with CGC. CGC is a trading card grader. Among other, they have a comic book division as well, and others, but it's a collectible grader. So for example, if you send in a RantCPU or a No One Is Safe card, they'll assess its condition They'll see if it's perfect, and they assign it a number grade 1 through 10. Then they put it in a plastic slab, and then you can have it in your collection. And the higher the grade, the more valuable the card.
Are you going to turn it into NFT as well?
We've done some NFTs with on the Hedera blockchain. So we have some Hedera packs in market. The NFTs have been really they've been turbulent from a market perspective.
Yeah, it was like really hot in the beginning when it come out. Everyone's oh, whoa, this is like a future, but then it kind of crashes and no one really talk about it anymore. I don't know what's going on.
So I think what happened, Dapper Labs and Top Shot, right when the pandemic hit back in 2020, they were the first into market with these speculative NFT NBA packs. They did a terrific job of passing value on to their collectors. And generating a market and awareness for NFTs. I mean, in 2020, no one knew what NFTs stood for. I remember working at the Players Association during that time, and trying to understand non-fungible tokens, what that market was, and what it could become. And Dapper had such market penetration and awareness that everyone flooded to Dapper Labs and Top Shot, because if you could. People would wait in virtual lines, and if they got a pack of Top Shot NFTs, you could resell the pack or its contents and make money off of it. If you got one, you could make $50 to $200 in your sleep, like within an hour, as long as you were lucky enough to win this lottery. But what that did, and this is one of the nuances of collectibles, it brought so much demand to the market. But then Dapper Labs and Top Shot, they increased supply, and they increased supply to
too much supply,
where it outweighed demand. And then there was a crash in NFTs. But there are still digital collectible collectors as well as NFT collectors. But a lot of that speculative interest from the beginning, where it really did a bell curve, has flooded out of the industry because it's not easy money anymore. But there's still, hundreds of thousands of people that believe in NFTs and digital collectibles in the long run.
I see. And with what you do, because you are like in so many different industry all at the same time, I think your background is very interesting. And one thing I also want to talk about, I think that's very relevant to the people in the toy industry, is to negotiate with like a licensor like yourself that is trying to, maybe they want to secure a license from you and maybe create a toy using the license. What would be the piece of advice that you can share? I mean, as much as you are willing to share, to other toy entrepreneur like myself that's looking to potentially like get a license or negotiate a license deal.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and it's one that I'm still trying to figure out myself, Jason. There's so much nuance and to licensing a new intellectual property, and I think what everyone has to understand, me included, is that many times the leverage is not on the side of the new intellectual property. You can try to negotiate favorable terms. You can try to negotiate guaranteed minimum royalties. But before you counter terms too hard or too aggressive, I'd encourage everyone, if you're sitting with a new IP, and this is just my perspective, I'm sure there are counterpoints as well, but I'd encourage everyone to do the exercise. If I counter too aggressively, am I going to be really disappointed if this person walks away? And if the answer is yes, I would not counter too aggressively, because as much as I believe in RantCPU and no one is safe, our team is incredible. Liithos is incredible. We're building something massive, but there's a lot of competition. People, new IPs, are a dime a dozen. Not saying they're all good, but there are alternatives. So
they are.
I would just sort of ask yourself that question before you counter too aggressively in trying to negotiate terms or guaranteed minimum royalties. Sometimes just having a deal, even if you don't get any dollars up front, just having a deal where it looks like a collaboration or where you're building an audience from someone else's existing audience. Those are tremendous assets that I'd encourage people not to overlook.
Yeah, and I think one thing I also like to share from the brand owner's perspective is like the license or the IP you are trying to secure need to in some way or form kind of align with the core mission with the company as well,
Yeah.
right? Otherwise, you don't just get like random IP because you want to get them, and like your customer is probably not going to relate to that as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You want to find the right partners, people that align with your interest and mission. The interesting thing about RantCPU is that he can work in many different industries and spaces. So just because he's in artificial intelligence, he's quirky, he misinterprets a lot of things. So I think that gives me a lot of creative liberty in terms of the industries that I can look for collaborations in. I can look within apparel, I can look within hard goods and accessories, video games,
education as well. I think we talk about it pre-interview.
Actually, that's how we met at the licensing expo, and we talked about RantCPU potentially as an educational tool. And we can do that. RantCPU is a character that has that can appeal to a variety of different audiences. But you also want to assess, obviously, those potential partners and whether or not they're appropriate fits for your brand and what they're trying to do.
Of course. And I think one of the approach that your company take is a little bit different path. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it look like you guys are really focusing on product collaboration, which is good. But I think other licensing or licensor I know, they don't really focusing on that as much. I guess what is your strategy around that as far as like focusing on product first approach?
Yeah, I think it's a two-pronged answer. One, a product-first approach allows us to introduce RantCPU to market and allows us to introduce RantCPU to multiple markets. So across collectibles, we have a comic book as well.
You do?
RantCPU comic book is being distributed by Scout Comics and should be in stores at the end of November, right on the other side of Thanksgiving. But that's another opportunity to introduce our character to a different customer segment. So if you take NFTs, if you take trading cards, if you take comic books, if you take board games, we've been starting a lot of small fires and trying to have those small fires converge with one another and build up market presence within this collectibles realm.
For sure.
And then the next big step for me, where I want to see RantCPU, I'm really looking for a toy partner, just because I think it makes so much sense for that demographic. This is an intellectual property that has so much potential appealing to kids, and has so much potential from a personality perspective. He can be confused, he can be happy, he can be jubilant, he can be angry and frustrated. And when I think of SKU extensions and toy possibilities, it's sort of endless, which I like from a product standpoint.
For sure. That's like I talk about, like maybe that's like education opportunity, like making different characters of previous president, or previous like famous like people in the history, like history personalities.
So that is exactly what we've done. So I have a couple of these collectibles where Rant is cosplaying as different celebrities. So here's one. This is Bat Rant. Where, RantCPU's take on Batman. We've got, let's see, we've got this one I thought was great. Captain Rant Sparrow.
That's a really fun design too.
I mean, we've got just an incredible graphic and visual team that is able to pose RantCPU in all of these poses. I just had another one, Rant 1776 that looks like a founding father, and he has a top hat on his head, just like during the American Revolution. So there's endless opportunity to collaborate and to create compelling product lines.
Stories, right? Yeah. So I guess I want to step back and go back to your journey of building. And first of all, how long has RantCPU been around? How many years now?
Just over a year.
Oh, wow.
So I joined Liithos at the beginning of this year, at the beginning of 2024. I've
Okay.
spent the last 9 months, developing trading card products,
Mm,
negotiating the deal with Leaf, negotiating the deal with Quid. My colleagues have been getting video games into market with RantCPU.
nice.
By the way, that's an area of the business that I've overlooked so far in the conversation, but we have a Clickbait, which is an interesting game on Steam that I'd encourage viewers and listeners to check out. It features
Oh.
RantCPU. We have another game releasing imminently within the next day or two on Steam and Android, and then
Okay.
hopefully on Apple in 3 weeks once the
Oh, wow.
review period's over.
Nice.
But we've been hard at work in a number of different business verticals, and it all does tie into Michael's vision of Liithos being a transmedia company. We're trying to span the physical realm, the video game realm, and the NFT realm, so that we have an all-encompassing product suite.
Yeah, and since this is a fairly new, I guess, IP, what has been the biggest challenge that you have faced in kind of getting your word out there or building up the name recognition?
Sure. It's probably exactly what you think. It's market awareness for RantCPU, and then trying to get others, licensees, to take a plunge on a new intellectual property. A lot of conversations, as you might expect, people want a proof of concept, or they're looking for numbers, whether they be marketing metrics or social audiences that you've developed. And I understand that. Certainly people want proof that what they're dealing with has potential.
Yes.
But creating that always takes some people taking a plunge. And that's why I think some of these collaborations have been really successful for us, because we can point to Leaf trading cards, we can point to Scout Comics, we can point to Steam, the video game engine, as people who have taken a plunge with us in developing RantCPU and introducing him to market, and then hopefully building up these metrics so that people are interested in new endeavors down the line. So toys, apparel, and future collectibles.
I see.
Yeah.
Do you have any piece of advice for someone that's also looking into maybe building some equity in their own brand, either through licensing or through collaboration that you guys are doing? Any word of advice there?
Yeah, just ride through the highs and the lows. I mean, you have almost on a daily basis, you have you feel the highs of a successful collaboration or an email that comes across your desk that indicates favorable support, and then you also experience lows. Someone that you thought may have been close to a deal that steps away from it, or not generating marketing awareness that you thought that you would hit. So as we're introducing these new intellectual properties, it can be a bumpy ride because you're trying to develop something from the ground up. And that's what we're trying to do at Liithos as well. But if you find the right partners and you find people that you've worked with in prior work stops that believe in your work, or that trust you, and you can get a little bit of leeway, and then you can take that leeway and leverage it into successful product launches.
And as far as I know, we talk about toy industry a lot because that's what the show is about. And what kind of product you want to develop, like by collaborating with other toys?
That's so good. So I really want a RantCPU Mr. Potato Head. Jason, that's exactly where I want to go. Okay, so I'll show you another visual. So we have RantCPU exhausted. So imagine that base, that monitor of Rant, and then you buy an extra face that you can pop out and pop in. So then RantCPU anxious.
Yeah.
And then RantCPU Angry. I think that has so much potential
Yeah.
across hard goods and toys. It's a figurine. It's exactly like a Mr. Potato Head. If you buy, a $20 RantCPU, and within the box you get 4 different faces and different models, and you can mix and match them and make your own. I am dying for a partner that's willing to take that jump with me, and I think it would be very successful.
I see. Yeah, that's actually a fun idea.
It'd be fun, right?
Yeah, it'd be very fun idea.
Yeah, we could have some fun with that. So, those are conversations that I'm having at events like Licensing Expo and Brand Licensing Europe, which is an event that we're considering attending. It's at the end of this month. We'll see if Liithos will be there. But,
what country is it at?
That's in England. That's London.
England.
Yeah, I think it's right outside London.
I see. Got it. And as well, kind of approach toward the end of today's interview, what excites you the most about the future, about the company you work for, and all the different IP you're currently working on?
So I think we're months away just from some very big breakthroughs. I'm a big believer in the trading card product that will be hitting stores in December. I think that really has the potential to create waves within trading cards. And then once we do that, then I think the sky's the limit, because it opens up additional either licensing or collaboration opportunities. Also, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, the Light Byte game, RantCPU's Light Byte, will be out, depending on the platform that you're on, either within the next 2 days or 3 weeks. And I think that is a great exposure to RantCPU and a young kids audience, and women's audience that we haven't yet developed a product for. So I'm really excited about that as well. And then just generally building awareness for this intellectual property that I believe in and that I think has roots. Dialing into work, coming, opening up my computer every morning, I'm excited to see what's come in overnight and what we might be able to leverage in the following days or weeks.
I see. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Where can people find you?
Let's see. You can find me on X. I'm at the real. No, I'm at Zvee in LA on X. You can find Liithos across all sorts of social media. Liithos. We're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. And you can find RantCPU on Instagram and X. So a number of different outlets where you can, see us, experience RantCPU, and see what we're building.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the show. So for the listener, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed. We really hope you enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you could leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resources, tips, and latest update in the toy industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag #ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestion for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing toys to joys. And this is Jason Hsieh signing off on Toy Business Unboxed podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, everyone.